I never wanted to be to own my own company. It was never ever any desire, and I'm still kind of like that. Like, I struggle with trying to prove not only to others that you're a real company, but also kind of in some ways proving to yourself. Breaking your own expectations and building yourself up like that is really, really hard.
You're listening to the Talking 20 podcast. This podcast is for you if you're in your 20s and you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? We've all been there, and we want to talk about it. We're your hosts, Bridget O'Rourke and Mary Margaret Courtney, and we sit down with fellow millennials to chat about their journey and hear what they've learned along the way. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Talking 20. Today we are joined by Logan Miller, someone whose passion lies in helping Canadian country artists and fans connect with each other, and it seems like he has all the tools and experience under his belt to do that, if that's an expression, I don't know. He is a music marketing professional as well as an SEO, which means search engine optimization and social media expert. And this, along with his history in digital marketing, radio, and publicity, have all merged together in the creation of his company called Front Porch Music. And Front Porch Music is a company with a mission to connect audiences with Canadian country artists by providing the latest in Canadian country news while also promoting Canadian music, artists, and festivals. Logan has a resume that seems to be very similar to Mary and me, as in all over the place. He's definitely built up his repertoire throughout the years, and we're thrilled to have him on the show to talk about the ups and downs that he's faced along the way to get to where he is today. Welcome to the show, Logan.
Hi, Bridget. Can you please introduce me all the time? you just made me sound so cool.
You're very impressive. People say that all the time. They're like, wow, my ego is just completely built up.
I've never really heard all of that from someone else.
Yeah, and then they get slightly worried because they're like, how do you have all this information on me? Expert creeper.
Yeah, why do you know everything about me?
Expert creeper.
That's awesome. So how do you, we know you, I know you through this interview because of Mary.
Yeah.
So how do you guys know each other?
We go way back.
We go way back. And to be honest, I think I figured out what year, but I could be wrong.
Good, because I have no clue.
Okay, so I did fast math, which was probably not correct.
Mary and fast math.
It doesn't go well together. 2016. I think it was 2016.
That probably checks out.
Yeah. Logan and I met working at Boots and Hearts together. But the tricky part is we both worked there for a few years before working on the same team. So I knew, like, your face. I saw you when we would, like, drive golf carts past each other. Or, like, I needed something from you or you need something from me. But we didn't there was no actual interaction until we were on the same team and we worked on the media team. So that is, all the behind scenes stuff at the festival when artists aren't on stage. They are, being hustled and bustled around for all the media and press. And then during the shows, there's a lot of restrictions and, only certain things that people can photograph and videotape. And then obviously during the interview processes, there's a lot of logistics to that. So that was the team Logan and I worked on together. And we've been doing that for years, way up until the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I would see you once a year. You were one of those people on my phone.
Sometimes twice.
Yeah. If we were lucky, we would work some other events together. But we would, yeah, you're the person in my phone that it would be like, oh, my last message to you was literally 1 year ago from the last text message at the end of the festival. And then I didn't talk to you until a year later.
And, like, we'd have, like, the best time, the best weekend, all the love, and then, like, see you in a year.
Yeah. Okay, bye. Love you.
Those are the best relationships.
Yeah.
Logan, you've started your own company, Front Porch, as I mentioned in the intro. And I'm sure there were many reasons as to why you did that, which we'll get into after. But before we get into that, can you give us some more information about what you guys do exactly?
Yeah, so we are primarily a company that does marketing for artists. And part of that is creating, we created a website to help publicize artists or like our clients. So artists come to us and we work to get them seen, get them heard. And then having Front Porch Music was a guaranteed outlet for artists to be featured on. And it honestly started as a means of acquiring new clients, and it truthfully exploded into something that I never anticipated it to, where we are now Canada's largest digital publication to talk about country music, and it's exclusively country music, and that's just nuts to me. That was never really the intention, but yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Cool, yeah.
It started with me wanting to get new clients, and then it turned into me wanting to get more audience.
Yeah, and knowing you, it's like such a passion for you. And I think I was there. I may not have been. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question. But can you tell us about how you got inspired to create this brand from the beginning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, Mary, you definitely were there. So I was working in country radio for quite a long time, since high school, and then all throughout university, and then after university. And that's where I got connected with Boots and Hearts. And then I ended up losing my job in radio. And when I left, the person that I was dealing with at Boots and Hearts, Laura Kennedy, she called me and said, "What are you doing right now? I heard you lost your job. Why don't you come work for me? Because you need to be here." So I started doing that, and I fell in love with the event industry. I fell in love even more with the business side of country music. And I guess the music industry at large, but in particular country. And I just wanted to do more of it. So I started, I guess, freelancing with other festivals and some artists, just kind of doing it for fun while I was looking for work. And then all at once, Mary, you experienced this as well. A lot of these festivals went with agencies instead of contractors. So I was like, I need to find some more people or some more clients. So I decided, Logan Miller contacting someone doesn't mean a whole lot, but a company that has a different name than Logan Miller might mean more. So Front Porch kind of came about by me being frustrated and wanting to find more work. And then it kind of went from there to explode into more of a digital platform.
And how did you come up with, I heard this on an interview, I think it's super cool, super creative. How did you come up with the name Front Porch Music?
I agonized over it for a very long time. I wanted it to be, something that pays homage to, homage?
Fromage.
Omelette?
Yes, I wanted to pay omelet to to like the sentiment of country music, and I also didn't want it to be like honky tonk music.
Hokey?
Yeah. Like I wanted it to be something that felt natural, something that felt laid back, and just really encapsulated what my vibe and also the vibe that I love about country music. And there's so many songs that reference a front porch. There's Lone Stars, From the Front Porch Looking In. Miranda Lambert has a few songs that mention Front Porch, and now like Front Porch is just, it's been part of the lexicon, I guess, of country music. And it just has a nice ring to it. Front Porch Music and marketing.
Yeah, I love it. You know what I think of when I think of front porches? I think of Stewie Griffin sitting on the front porch playing the banjo. And you're like, ding, 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 I got this to Stewie Fingers.
Yeah.
That one? Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's what I think of. I love that, though. Like, I love the idea of having, such a meaning behind the name. You didn't just, it's not honky-tonk music. Like, you actually thought about the name and the brand and how it's going to develop.
I had a few others, like Bonfire or something, or like an idea behind a few other things. But I don't know, Front Porch just kind of seemed to have a nice ring to it. And then as soon as I got that idea in my head, I kind of already had a brand kind of building from it in my head, like the idea of a logo, of a rocking chair, and even just
which is fantastic, by the way. The logo, so yeah, like we were working together when you kind of started to, I remember you talking about all these different names and you were like, yeah, Front Porch, I really like it. And I remember I was like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. I'd listen to it. All those things. And then just recently, as you've been able post-COVID to get out more and do more, I'm like, this logo works so well. Like specifically seeing the hat that you wear, I'm like, it is slick. It is great. Seeing what you did with the blue chair at the CCMA.
Wasn't that so
we'll
cool?
Get to in a bit. Logan, I want to talk so much about that. Oh my God. Like it's brilliant and it's personable. Like everyone can relate to that imagery and that concept, and the people that love country music get that. They get it. Like it has an emotional attachment to it.
Well, I mean, like even when we talk to artists, and like my team talks to artists, when someone's coming into an interview, it's with Front Porch Music, it kind of automatically relaxes you. Like, oh, this is going to be fun. It's going to be, nothing high pressure. And that's kind of been really cool to see. I mean, I obviously didn't intend that to happen, but it's been a really cool after effect of artists being like, this is a really like comfortable interview. It's really easy to talk to you guys. And that's also a shout out to Jenna and Lauren and the rest of the team at Front Porch who's interviewing people to kind of keeping people relaxed. But I think the brand also helps with that too.
I think also like the fact that you've been through so many jobs and you've worked with so many different people and stuff really helps play into
so
like,
many jobs.
Yeah, it helps you, but it helps you understand like how you want to be treated when you go into an interview. How you you don't want it to be pressure filled. You don't want the person to feel nervous or anxious, and that's probably why is because you've been job hopping and you've experienced this in so many different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, Logan, I heard in an interview that part of why you started up this company was that you were seeing country artists from Canada with amazing talents being, I think it was like being promoted in the States and not recognized here. Is that, do I have that right?
Partly. There's a couple facets there that I want to talk about. Artists leave Canada to go to Nashville, which I get. Nashville's an important part in the industry. But like, why can't we also have that in Canada? Why can't we have a Nashville in Canada? And I think the pandemic has helped with that a lot. Like artists are doing a lot more Zoom writing sessions and connecting that way. But Nashville is still so integral to the industry, and I get it. It should be, and it's a really cool place. But we need to have some of that in Canada too. So that's, kind of important to me. But another thing that really got me thinking about wanting to focus exclusively on Canadian music, because we could talk about all country music, which, there's definitely benefits to that. But there's a lot of people that do that. But B, at these festivals that like with Mary, we were working the media team. We would be backstage and we would be managing the artists' interview schedules and managing, media requests for different artists. And every time, there were obviously some exceptions, but every time there were, Canadian artists that were available for interviews and ready for interviews, but no one was showing up for their interview calls. No one was showing up for their interview times, or they just weren't being requested. And that is stupid. Like, Canada has some of the most talented country artists. That's just a fact. Like our artists are writing some of the top songs in the U.S. For some of the top U.S. artists, and the fact that some of these artists were just getting picked over for interviews really sucked. So and
it's a little crazy that like I find what it is. It's like you're from Canada, so you get to know people in the Canadian scene. You get that connection to the States. You go to the States, you do your thing, then you get big and you come back and everyone celebrates you. And it's like, why don't we have more foundation to help build people up? Why do they have to leave? Because it puts a big jolt, even in like the festival world and in any other part of the music industry when you're recording or you're a label or whatever. It's tough. It's tough when people are like, yeah, but I got to go be over there where all the other it people are. When you're like, yeah, but they were it people here before. They just went over, like, come on, stay here, help us.
It's the same in all genres of music. I just chose country as the one that I work in, and that's the one that I'm advocating for. And
yeah,
I don't really fully understand why. I mean, I get it, the whole, Hollywood obsession. The whole Hollywood obsession is just, part of it. Because even, country artists in the UK and country artists in Australia are coming to Nashville as well. So it's not just a Canada problem.
Yeah. I work at a record label, at one of the record labels in Canada as well, and I know we get super frustrated with the differences between the music industry in the States and here, like especially on streaming platforms and stuff, and getting these amazing Canadian artists try to be like considered for playlisting and whatnot over in the States. Like there's a hard barrier on trying to get Canadian music known globally.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of us in the industry that feel the way I do. And it's getting a lot better, I think. But it's a matter of just championing for it and just keeping, getting involved with all the different associations across Canada as Front Porch and just kind of advocating as much as I can for it, for other artists and for the industry in general. Yeah,
I love that you're, giving them a voice. You're getting their stuff noticed. Thanks. And that's like, I think that's so incredible.
Well, and it's great because you're a good, like, not only are you passionate about country music, but you're providing a solution to the problem via the Front Porch music. You're creating the media content, but you're also providing them opportunities to build and to grow the audience and building that network. And it has its own community, and it's really cool to see that. And with that, you were at the Canadian Country Music Awards this past weekend, which was incredible. It was so fun to see from all these different angles. There's like there were so many different connections of different people I know in the industry, not just country. And everyone was there. And like just post-COVID, although I wasn't there, watching it via Instagram, I was so excited. I was so excited for the industry. I was so excited for the people that were putting on the show. I was excited for the people performing and for you guys. So for you guys on your end, can you speak a little bit about what Front Porch Music did there?
Oh, man. Yeah. So it was so good to be back around not just people, but music and live music and, you know, sitting in on writers' rounds and watching artists just being where they're supposed to be and where they, you know, where they feel the most comfortable was just, it was so good. My soul really needed it.
Yeah.
My soul is like out of me right now. I'm still recovering. Like my voice is still still gravelly.
The tequila.
But
you did well.
Thank you. First time partying in like 2 years.
Nailed it. Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So Front Porch was there. You know, I went more as, you know, to work on like the business side of things, and then on my team, Jenna and Megan came to kind of be there to represent Front Porch to the artists and interview artists and, you know, create content all weekend for our social media and for artists' social medias as well. We made a lot of, you know, great connections. We've physically met people that we've been talking to since the pandemic started, which was awesome. A couple of artists that I've been working with doing marketing stuff, I'd never met in person. I mean, we've met on Zoom, but that's not the same. It was really, really great. And it was really great to see the industry come together and, you know, going to different brunches and after parties and just, you know, the whole community coming together and really just celebrating the fact that we could get together. Yeah, it was really great. And there was so many great independent artists that were being showcased in different capacities, which is awesome. We also hosted a networking event with a software company called Cuttable. They just started through the pandemic as well. They're a really cool company. They connect songwriters together across the country so that they can work together and write together, schedule writing sessions, and then sell their music to artists for them to sing. It is really neat. So we hosted a networking event together, and, you know, we had a lot of independent artists come and just, you know, connect with one another. Like I was like, I don't need to be part of this. I just want to watch and just like watch you all do your thing. It was really,
Did you
really
guys
cool.
do any like interviews at the CCMAs with artists?
We did. Jenna and Megan were on Media Row, which is a big room filled with annoying media people, ourselves included. And artists just kind of funnel in and go from table to table to table to table to table. It's an exhausting day for them, but it's one of the only times a year, in a normal year even, when they can really just plaster their name out there and get content done
all at once. Yeah.
For a bunch of different media. Yeah. So Jenna and Megan were there, and I had no idea they were doing this, but they found a rocking chair online, which the Front Porch logo is a rocking chair, for those of you who don't know. They found a rocking chair online, they stripped it, they painted it blue, our company colors, and they brought it to Media Row with them. They looked like a fool walking downtown London carrying it to Media Row, but that's okay.
It's downtown London.
Yeah.
Everybody's a fool.
Yeah. But yeah, so like everyone signed it. Every artist who went through.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, they all signed it. They all sat on it and got a picture with it.
Perfect marketing tactic.
Right. I wish I thought of it, but I'm so happy my team did.
You guys put up an amazing Instagram reel, which was the beginning of the CCMAs. It was put out with the brown rocking chair, the wood rocking chair, and it getting spray painted, and we're going to the CCMAs, and it was like the rocking chair rocking by itself on a front porch. And
cool.
We'll see you there. And then at the end of the CCMAs, it was after whatever Media Row Day or whatever, and it was like flashing through all the different people that were there. It looked so exciting. They were talking to people were signing it, everyone's sitting on the chairs, they're goofing, they're laughing, and then it shows the rocking chair at the end all signed, and I was like, so fun. And being someone who works in the like back end of those events, and you see Media Rows and you see like trade shows where there's so many people set up with booths. Everyone's there for the same cause, and the people walking in know it. And it's a little rough when you walk in and you're like, I have to talk to 75 different booths.
And you're answering the same questions over and over again.
It's so hard to decipher yourself a little bit differently. And it's just like, as crazy as they look walking down the street of London, what a cool, fun way to be like, just come sit in the chair, have a little rock and talk with me, and be on your merry little way. And then you've got a little rock and talk. You're welcome. You can take it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take that.
For $100.
That's it, man.
Great. That seems pretty cheap to me. Sold.
Done.
I'm kidding. You can have it for free because I like you.
Oh, thanks.
But seriously, it was so well done, and I was like,
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all Jenna and Megan. Like they really rose to the occasion, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the team that we totally, I mean, not to brag, we were shining on the weekend. We really stood out. And like, you know, we went into the weekend, Jenna and I talked, and, you know, Media Row, it's like, do we want to just ask questions and just like be that booth? And then we're like, no, let's be the relaxed ones. We're the Front Porch. Let's come, you know, join us on the Front Porch. We didn't really ask any questions. We just had conversations. You know, what are you doing? Or like, how are you? Like, we really just had like one-on-one conversations with these artists. And a few times artists came up and said, thank you. It was just a nice break from the rest of it, which is really nice to hear.
I know that, like, as podcasters, Mary and I have the luxury of doing interviews in our bedrooms with very minimal distractions, except for my cat every night at 7:30 p.m. But besides that, so how do you feel when you guys are like in a room interviewing people and it's so busy, like you're on Media Row? Do you get distracted? Are you able to ask the kinds of questions that you want to ask, or do you have to stick to a script?
It can be very distracting because there's, you know, you're on a tight schedule. There's always artists that just pop up and say, hey, can I have a few minutes? And you're like, I don't know who you are, but okay. Or like, you know, sure, I'd love to fit you in, but I don't, you know, give me some time. It can be very distracting because you're watching your watch, you're trying to be attentive to the person that you're talking to. You have, you know, a publicist oftentimes, you know, pointing at their wrist to you, like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Mm-hmm. It can be very, very exhausting and very hard to handle.
Yeah, because like you've got people that have been interviewing forever, so they're really good. You know, they know to feed you some stuff. It's so nice when you're interviewing someone else who can like bounce back with you. But it would be stressful when someone comes up and goes like, I'd like to do an interview with you. And you're like, I don't know who you are. And then you ask some questions and it's like dead in the water.
That is really rough.
Like thinking on your feet like that.
Yeah, like we work with a lot of independent artists, and with that comes a lot of new artists and a lot of artists who, you know, have put out only one single. Not so much, you know, at events and stuff because they're kind of there to do that. But when we've been having interviews for our clients and for other artists who are just, you know, featured on Front Porch, it can be really rough when you're talking to someone and they don't have media training, or it's their first interview ever, which is really exciting for them, but they just give yes or no answers or one word answers. And part of that's on the interviewer too, on us to, you know, ask questions that aren't just yes or no answers,
right,
but you know, sometimes you're like, you got to give me something, buddy.
Yeah. Give me something to grab onto so I can develop questions from there. Yeah,
have a conversation with me. Yeah, and I give you props. Like
my style of interviewing is to have a list of questions to fall back on, but I almost never look at them, and I just have a conversation. And the only time I ever reference a list of questions is if I almost said if I got a dud. That's really bad to say.
I get what you're saying.
If there's like a lull in the conversation.
Just say it. If you get a dud, if you're the dud out there, come on, work on it.
Yeah, do better.
You can learn. All of us have theater training.
If you need help, we have a service for that.
Logan did a great interview on how to do your first interview. I don't remember who it was with, but I was listening to it before this, where you talked about like interview techniques and how to be the one being interviewed.
My God, you did some deep research.
Well, you know it. It's my favorite part. Yes, but anyway, Mary, you were talking about theater training.
Nice segue into my next question, Bridget. Yeah, I've always wanted to ask you this, Logan. I don't know if I ever have, but so you have a background in theater, you have experience performing, and I do think it's why we clicked immediately and became friends, because we got that background, and I quickly learned my love for being behind the scenes. But I do always watch performers, and I'm like, I am kind of jealous. Like, I do I would love to do that, but like I also hate what your life. Yeah, I wanted to know. I was like, do you have that part of you where you're like, I kind of wish I could perform?
I so do. I have like put a microphone in front of me and I'm happy. And like,
Can you sing? Like, are you an artist?
for myself, I
You
am.
like to sing.
In the shower?
No, like, so like I've done musicals.
Oh,
I've done,
nice.
yes, I can
Okay.
sing. I've never had the confidence to really do it. I play guitar, I play piano, but it's mostly for
Okay.
myself.
Knowing you're probably so good.
He's just like a closet Bach.
Yeah, and if you just were like, all right, I'll do a little ditty for you, and he just like pulls out like Phantom of the Opera on the piano and starts singing.
What? Your guitarist called in sick? Ugh, fine, I guess I'll do
I
it.
guess I'll do it, Bon Jovi. Fine.
Hey, good reference. He did go country.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had the confidence to really get up and do it myself, but that is kind of a goal of mine to, you know, not like one that I'm actively seeking, but I think one day it would be really cool to, you know, be credited on a song.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you write at all?
in some
Like,
capacity.
do you ever think of writing?
No. I tend to journal a bit.
Okay.
And I will often write things that I observe and more like funny stories.
Right.
Like I tend to observe the weirdest things and things that people don't really observe. So I think if anything, one day I'd probably try my hand at stand-up, but I don't think I'd be very good at it. But that's the kind of things that I typically write.
Yes, you would. I can
in
tell
my
you.
journal.
You're hilarious.
Yeah, even from the past 15 minutes, I think you'd
Yeah,
be good.
maybe it's because most of the time we're exhausted, and I just think you're hilarious, but I think you're hilarious, and you should try it.
My theater training has like definitely helps in terms of interviews.
I bet, yeah.
Like I did quite a bit of improv stuff as well, and I think anyone who does interviews should take an improv class because it lets you think on your feet so fast, and I think it's like the most helpful.
Hey, Bridge?
I've been trying to get Mary to immerse me more in some improv things because she's really quick. Mary's always been really good at improv. I've never thrived at improv, so I want to be quicker on my feet. And Mary's been like, okay, well, do improv classes. And I'm like, but I don't want to.
And just like Logan said, it's all training. I remember being in high school, grade 9, and starting improv, and I was terrible. And then it was through improv that I got better at performing, talking in front of people, like socially. Socially, I became funnier to my friends. Like, you just start to trust your instincts and pick up on timing, and you remember other people's jokes and steal them and tell them with confidence, and it works. Like
Every time.
There's tips and tricks, but it honestly, like, improv helps you understand your instincts. It's not about being funny. It's about understanding, like, human timing and your natural instincts. And once you can trust that and listen to it, you have to fall on your face a few times. Absolutely. You can't just, like, do improv and be amazing.
But that's what I don't want to do.
But you have to fall on your face to figure out what went wrong and how it could go better.
Right.
And the feeling of failure, honestly, it sucks, but it's also
it's
so
the best
helpful
thing.
in a performative capacity.
Which is the best segue into our next talking point.
Ruh-roh.
We're going into talk about failure. Okay, so now as you're growing this company, Front Porch Music, you have to play a lot of roles as the owner and as a leader. And similar to Mary and I, you've been building up your experience working for other people, and like us, you've been let go. And you mentioned in our pre-episode survey that this was a huge part of your transformation in your 20s. Can you talk about that time that you were let go and how that kind of changed the way you thought of the world?
Yeah. I really wrapped my identity with my job.
Preach.
To a large extent, I still do. But in my 20s, I had what I thought was my dream job, or I was on the trajectory towards my dream job. I was working in radio. I was having the time of my life. Not one day felt like work. I was going to concerts, going to events, planning events, giving away cool prizes, and just being around music all day. And that's what I always wanted, is just to have a job where I could be around music and entertainment. And that was me. That was my whole identity as well. My name's Logan Miller. I work at a cool radio station. You all suck.
So humble, so kind.
Yeah. I was so proud. Like, I was so proud of that job, and like I started there when I was in high school, and I was so proud of it, and I loved it. And then it got taken away from me, and I obviously have to take some blame for that as well.
Well, we'll get into that one.
Yeah. But it was also like, it was taken away from me for whatever reasons. And it really kind of crushed me for a long time. Even like sometimes now I'm still like, I wish I didn't lose that job. Although it's the best. In retrospect, it that kind of failure really put a fire under my ass. Yeah, it was just, it really sucked.
Yeah. Are you open to talking about the specifics of it?
Yeah. I don't know if I should.
Well, we don't have to be specific about the company.
Only if you're comfortable. Yeah, you don't have to.
At all.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
I think the big thing about this is, like, we've talked in past episodes, both Bridget and I have had experiences of being letting go. Wow, let it go.
All of us, our brains are on fire today. Like, and not in a good way.
My brain is on fire. Okay.
I was just about to sing that. Oh my God.
My big question. So yeah, we've both had those experiences, and for different reasons, all of us are going to have, our own version of the story, but it comes around to the same place as, like, in our early 20s, our identities are wrapped in our jobs, which is kind of systematically built to be that way. And then the three of us are very similar type of workhorses. We love working. We like feeling good about our work. We love doing passionate work that means something. So naturally, when you put everything into it and then someone says, I don't need you anymore, you are just a number, or they disagree with the work you've done, we all had that overarching experience of, like, it feels like your identity and ego is completely shattered. So that's more like the specifics of that. We'd really like to get into kind of what happened to you and why it shattered, and then how you process through it. So step one, to work back, when it first happened, could you see through the fog at all to see your boss's side?
No.
At the beginning.
I still don't really know the full reason why. What ended up happening was I was covering a maternity leave. I mean, I'd worked there for 10 years, but the last job I had there, I was covering a maternity leave. And with the understanding that when that person came back, they were getting promoted, and then that job was mine. But it was a publicly traded company, so any job opening that happens, it has to be made public for anyone to apply to. So when it was made public, it was like, this is just what we have to do. Apply for it. You'll interview. The job is yours. So then I interviewed, and the interview felt weird. And I was like, at the end, I was like, why did this feel weird? And then they were like, it was fine. You're totally fine. And then the next day I came in, and they were like, so someone from Toronto who has more seniority than you wanted this job, so they get the job. Yeah. So,
ouch.
And like, that can't be the only part of the story. Like, there's got to be something else to it. I just don't know what, and I did not handle it well. They wanted me to train this new person, and I was like, that's not happening.
Oh my God, yeah, no. F you guys.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll go.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I'll go back down to part-time for a little bit until I find something else. But it wasn't a great ending. I did not handle it well.
Yeah, so how did you, like, the next days, months, weeks process that and get to the point where you could move on? Like, what did you learn from it to push you to where you are?
The days afterwards, like, when that happened, I said, no, I'm not training this person. I'm actually going to take 2 weeks off while you train them, and then I'll come back and do what I need to do. That in that moment, I grew my first inkling of a backbone. In that exact moment, because I'd given everything that I had to that company, everything I had to that brand. I helped build that brand to some capacity. I mean, I was just a little, like, I wasn't high up, but I was still very involved. And I was like, in that exact moment, I just felt, F you. Like, I don't.
You're so betrayed.
Yeah. And it, like, especially after being told, reassured multiple times that the job was still mine.
Yeah.
Which that in itself is inappropriate if they didn't have full intention to give it to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously things that I did that I probably could have done better. Otherwise, the job would have definitely been mine, I'm sure. But yeah, in that moment, I grew a backbone, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. Best of luck. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, good for you.
I like that you see it that way, because you could see it as like, oh, I didn't take the high road and I didn't train the person. And again, it's attached to your identity, and you're like, well, that's not, like, I'm not going to give everything that I've just worked for over to this other person who doesn't feel like they've tried to get here the way I have. But there's something to be said about it, because it's like, we're not supposed to take it so seriously or attach our identity to it, and you're just supposed to go in and train that person for the 2 weeks before they give it to them? Or could it go a different way and say, like, hey, you have people that are like pouring blood, sweat, and tears into your company. Maybe show them some respect, and like, who cares about seniority or whatever? You're right. Like, there's got to be something else behind that. It's like, come on. Like, why wouldn't you want someone like that on your team who 100% has your company's back? You have loyalty, passion. What else do you need?
I would have still been there. Like, I would have still been there.
Yeah.
Which in retrospect, I'm glad I'm not. But I would have still been there.
Yeah. I also got fired from a radio station, so I understand your pain and
really?
how that, buddies, radio station fire buddies.
I mean, that's a pretty common story. Everyone in radio gets fired.
I know. We also interviewed another person who also got fired from radio. But like, I found that when they fired me, I felt betrayed. I felt F you. I hated it. But then it's taken me quite a while. I still have a bit of I still have hard feelings about it, but it's taken me a while to realize.
Me too. What is that?
I don't know. There's something. It's probably because in my situation as well, I feel like they didn't tell me the full story, and I feel like both of us deserved to at least tell me why truthfully. So, but besides that, like, it's given, now I'm able to look back and I have a different perspective of it, and I can see it from my boss's point of view, and I can see it from my point of view, and I can see, where things went wrong, miscommunication, which Mary and I talk about all the time, is so important in the jobs that we're developing for ourselves right now, trying to be leaders. And those experiences, there's so much that you can learn from it. So what did you learn from that experience that you took away and you're kind of implementing in the way that you're running your company now?
I mean, like I just said, like, I learned to say no. I learned to, not just be the person who just goes along to get along. I mean, I still do that. I'm not an asshole. But, right, Mary?
Crickets. Crickets.
Yeah, you're so nice, Logan. And she shivers in her boots. No, you are. You're so nice. And I think the fact that you said the part about your backbone, I think, is huge. Because, again, you could look like a jerk for being like, I'm not training that person. But you are a nice person who's going to say, okay, sure, you're a team player, you're a go-getter. And I think yes, you having a backbone it's awesome to hear that you are developing more of.
Yeah, this happened 8 years ago now. Oh my God. A long time ago. Like, I think I was 24, 25. 24.
Just when you're like coming into your own, you're ready to take on the world, you're feeling so passionate about this job, and then they just like completely crush your soul.
They ripped it right out.
Oh my God. I feel so emotionally attached to this story. Anyway.
I still take that with me. Like, it's okay to say no if you don't want to do something. If it's not, if it doesn't align with your future goals, or your, if it's not going to help you on your path, at least in a career, on your path to what you want, then it's okay to say no. Like, there's a lot of things that I would love to do, and I've been asked to do a lot of things, but it didn't, at the end of the day, didn't line up with what my goals are. It was just going to distract me. So I just, I said, sorry, but no thanks. And like, it's hard.
And you might never have figured out what your actual goals and passion was.
Yeah. Oh, I would not have. Like, I'm very much a yes man. I don't like conflict. I hate conflict. I would rather just say nothing than say anything at all. But I've learned, and I've learned this in the last actually few years, that my goals are super important to me, and sometimes it's worth keeping your mouth shut, but sometimes it's just not.
Yeah. I feel this right now so much. I was expressing to Bridget today that so you and I are very similar in the paths of Front Porch has existed for a while. My company, Collective Creations, has existed for a while. Both of them kind of had a bit of a hiatus during COVID because nothing was happening. Mm-hmm. And now we're both relaunching with like a vengeance. Like, we are ready to go. We are putting everything we have into it. And you have to protect the baby. Your company is your baby. And it was a joke I was saying to Bridget where I was like, I just want to keep my baby alive. And I said, Bridget, you can take care of my baby. No one else. I don't trust anyone.
Honestly, it's like, Like at sometimes I think it's probably more work than a baby. Like
Yeah. 100%.
I don't have kids, but like, God, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but you have to have that backbone, and you have to say no, and you have to be able to protect it with everything you have, because your goals are so important to you, and you've given up other life opportunities to go for the thing that your gut is telling you to go for, and it is absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, like even just like 2 hours ago, I was going through the inbox and I was like, I don't want to do this. I pay someone to do this, but we need to be a team, and I just need to do this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think about those days where I worked in offices or other people's jobs and I hated what I had to do, and the only reason I was doing it is because I wanted the paycheck, and I had a boss who was going to yell at me if I didn't, which is an awful reason to do something. In my head, like I didn't put any passion into it, whereas the days now where I'm running my company and there are things that I don't want to do, I'm like, but I'm doing it for me, so there's like just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm the only person that can be let down.
Yeah, that's a lot nicer of an approach, and probably a better approach than what my brain goes to. Like, I basically yell at myself in my head, but like I make myself feel the worst. So like any boss can't make me feel that bad. So
Why? What do you say to yourself?
just like, why are you like, for example, for these stupid emails, like I procrastinated on it, I mean, for a week, like just to get the inbox to 0. And I was like, today I was like, you're such a failure. Like, this is so stupid. Like, this is the easiest task in the world. Just do it. And then,
But it's not the easiest, Logan,
Yeah.
because you're not just a staff member answering emails. When you step into the inbox of Front Porch, it's your entire company. And one email leads to thinking about finances, and the next email thinks about that opportunity that was missed, and the next email is a rejection letter, and that's your company, and oh my God. And like everything holds so much gravity because you're always looking at the bigger picture. So yeah, of course some days you're
God, you're just such a great pep talker.
She is a very good pep talker.
That's because if I didn't, I would crumble and die. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, and I'm learning it. I'm learning it right now. Before I ran my company while always having a full-time job, and post-COVID, COVID's still here. Post-quarantine, I said, give this everything you have because you're going to regret it if you don't. And Bridget and I have been going strong since August, and it's a battle and it's a grind every single day. I want to see the other side of this and be able to say, like, that was a grind. But you have to go through it to get to that other side. And it's the Bridget going to improv class. You got to go to improv class and you have to fail to learn the lesson. And for Logan, like, would you rather be answering 100 emails for Front Porch that you don't want to answer, or 100 emails for XYZ radio station that you also don't want to answer because you're training some other douchebag to do your job?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And like even just having people that I'm paying now, like, that's also a burden. Like, they have dreams with Front Porch. Like, we're growing, like, we're building things together, and like we have these plans. If I don't make it happen, I feel like I'm failing them too, and that's just like a heavy load.
But they understand that, do you think?
Oh yeah, totally. But it's still like,
Yeah, for sure. I found it helpful. Like, Bridget and I have, Bridget, I want to hear your perspective on this, because I, like, Collective Creations pays Bridget.
Sure does.
Yeah, Bridget gets paid before Mary gets paid, but that's because Mary's work won't exist without her, and I would crumble and die without Bridget.
I feel that.
Yeah, and it's stressful, but I have this open, honest relationship with her to be like, you're aware that this is stressful, right? And you're aware that this is, like, really hard, and that, like, at some point it might not work, and, like, we're taking that risk, and she's like, I get it. Let's go. Keep going. And yeah, one day I might not be able to pay her, and we have to figure that out. But it's
about seeing the bigger picture. Like, you have to find and surround yourself with people that are like, okay, I genuinely believe in this, and the only way it's gonna work is, okay, Bridget doesn't get paid 1 month, but that's okay because the company's still moving. Like, we just gotta keep it rolling. So I think it's just like the people that you surround yourself with have to have that same vision as you and see where your vision is, so that they're treating your baby the way you want your baby to be treated.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And like we're raising this baby together.
Yeah.
Like,
Co-parenting.
That's so cute.
we're co-parenting this company.
Yeah, I hope the team you talk about is like that, because I feel that for Front Porch. I feel like you have this momentum that wasn't there before COVID. It was there, it was moving, it was great, but there's something in the water. There's something happening right now. It feels really cool.
How did you find all the people on your team? Like, how did you surround yourself with all these people who have the same vision?
Very funny. Okay, so the admin person, like the person who keeps us all in line, she's been my best friend since childhood, so she didn't really have a choice. I said, "You're doing this," because she's the most organized person I know. So probably not the most healthy, but whatever. It's like, Heather, you're doing it.
Worked out for Bridget and I. I buy in.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah, and then Jenna, I started this in March of 2018 officially, and I think it was probably September or August or something. She reached out just randomly on Twitter or in the inbox or something and said, "Hey, I'd love to, I just graduated university. I wrote for a paper there. I want to keep writing. Can I join your team?" I was like, "Team? There is no team." "Yeah, you can."
You mean me?
Yeah.
Will you be my team?
I was like, "I want to sound bigger than I am." "Yes, let me talk to the team."
Amazing.
You go in your closet and you're just like,
"So Logan, what do we think about this?" Yeah. So she joined as more of like just something fun for her to do. Like it was just more of like a thing to pass the time for her. And then as she started doing it and realized that she really enjoyed doing the more entertainment journalism and being in the music industry, she just kept doing more and more and more and just kind of taking some more things on herself, which was amazing. Yeah, that's kind of where we are today. Like, she still has a day job, and that's great because I can pay her for all of it. But yeah, so she's really believes in indie music in Canada and country music in general, and is really she's responsible for a lot of the carrying through the vision right now.
That's amazing.
And then we also have we also have contributors across the country as well. Like if there's an event happening in Calgary, I have people out there that can go to an event.
Oh, cool.
I have people in out east who writes content once in a while. I have some photographers here and there that do stuff. A lot of that is just for fun for them, but it's great. It takes the load off.
That's amazing. And I hope you know that I still have my best intentions to run an event with you one day. Because we're gonna do it. It's gonna happen. Bridget knows nothing about this.
Good. We're doing it.
I know nothing about this, but can Talking 20 be involved?
Sure. And Collective Creations.
Great.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Let's just.
Can Front Porch be involved?
It would be like Collective Front Porch Talks.
Oh, that's clunky.
Did you say clunky? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little clunky.
It is clunky.
It's a working title, people.
I'll work on it. I'm working on it.
All right. Well, we'll do a focus group.
Yeah, it's not as good as the rock and
that was good. That was good, Mary.
You should name a podcast that.
Thank you.
Should.
Rock and Tags.
Rock and Tags.
You should. That was so empty.
Yeah. No, but I was like, oh man, I've already named our upcoming podcast.
Yeah, which we want to talk about.
We do want to talk about this. Okay, I have one more question about this entrepreneurship thing. And you know what? Anyone listening, please don't be offended by the following. I don't have a nicer way to say it. A lot of millennials are deciding to run their own company or be an independent entrepreneur, and then they just make an Instagram account and call it official. It's like the new thing now. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people, but sitting on the other side where I started my company when I came out of college with a very similar perspective, I was like, okay, I'm a sole proprietor, and now I'm a company. Look at me, I'm official. No idea what any of it meant, and almost 10 years later, I'm starting to get a grasp on it. But I've had to really focus in on the company vision and how I communicate online and how we're Bridget and her lovely sister who created the website, we've had like endless conversations that I want to throw my head through a wall because I don't do design well, but about like how we're representing ourselves online and not just looking like when I say, hey, friends and family, I started my company, or Collective Creations is rebranded. Like, rebranded is way overused on the internet now, and people use it for their like personal personas. And so, yeah, I've like had this like need to personally prove that that's not what this is. Like, this is a legitimate company and it's constantly moving, and we're working hard to be operating at full capacity, being, you know, an actual company, not just an Instagram account. Do you have any of those feelings?
Oh, all of them. Almost any time I talk to anybody, they're like, oh, how's your little project going? Or like, the biggest one is some of my family is like, oh, well, who would take you seriously for that? Like, how do you know how to do that? It's like, come on.
Yeah, because it feels like that. It feels like, and it's like, I get why it's like a millennial trend, and a lot of people get fired and don't feel supported at work and don't have good bosses or leaders, whether they're a millennial themselves or an older generation, but there aren't a lot of good leaders out there. And so, yeah, people are like, I'm going to go be an entrepreneur. And yeah, I just wanted a perspective from someone on a similar trajectory.
I feel that too. And like, I mean, I'm just experiencing this after the CCMA weekend, like just the feeling of like, okay, now what? Like trying to prove not only to others that you're a real company, but also kind of in some ways proving to yourself. I struggle with that even, and that's probably just my own insecurities. It is just my own insecurities. Breaking your own expectations is really, really hard. And building yourself up like that is really, really hard.
Well, wasn't that just the nail on the head right there?
I was like, Mary, I think he just gave you some therapy right now.
Yeah, it's true.
I never wanted to be to own my own company. It was never, ever any desire. And I'm still kind of like that. Like, can't someone else just pay me? But like, at some point, I was like, well, no one is paying me, so I just got to make it myself. And like finding the confidence to confidently go into these meetings that I have to be like, no, I deserve to be here. I'm, you know, this is a real thing. We reach a lot of people. Just like the confidence to say that I belong in the industry, it takes a lot for me.
Yeah, I feel that.
At what point did you realize that you like wanted to go off and do something by yourself? Because you said you didn't want to ever.
Yeah, like when I applied to so many jobs at record labels, so many jobs at other radio stations, so many jobs just that are maybe even kind of sort of a little bit in the industry, and kept getting no's. I was like, and I was seeing the people that, you know, my friends, my colleagues who were getting these jobs, seeing the people that were getting them, and I was like, well, I know I'm better than they are. Yeah. And not to say that rudely, but like, I know that my skills should have me in those spaces. So finally I was like, you know what? I just got to build it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Building your own opportunities. Right. And it's the thing you said about like telling yourself you should be in the room. It's a really good way of looking at it. I have lots to think about. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I will send you my invoice.
So earlier you were saying that you're starting a podcast that's not called Rock and Talk, but that's fine. I'm not bitter about it.
I'm thinking about it now.
You're thinking about it now.
I'm so excited.
So when is this coming out?
We are launching the first week of January.
Nice.
As of right now, that's the date. We've recorded a few episodes already. We have the whole purpose of the podcast is to live in kind of conjunction with Front Porch Music, obviously. You know, it's going to be long form interviews, kind of like this, but with Canadian country artists, both emerging and established.
Ooh, cool.
You know, we're gonna be talking to some artists that, you know, people have never heard of, and some artists that many people have heard of.
Can you give away any names?
I mean, we're still working out some of the details.
Okay, so you don't want to say anything yet?
I can say some names for like the independent artists that you haven't heard of.
Sure. Okay.
But you know, there's Parker Gray, Owen Riegling. Owen Riegling actually is the guy who produced our opening jingle and our theme music for throughout the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. And you know, we're talking to Ryan Connolly next week. We're we're just getting a whole bank of episodes done so that we can just kind of perfect it and go from there.
Nice.
At least for the first 6 months. It's going to be
a smart way to do it. Yeah.
We did that. We started with like, let's do practice interviews with our moms and friends. And then we were like, oh, these are really good. We should put them out. And then we just all of a sudden we're running a podcast.
Yeah.
Like it was like all supposed to be trial base. And then we were like, fuck it, just put it out. And it worked. And it like, it got us moving and understanding like what we needed to make the project work. Yeah, it's a good way to go.
And this is obviously on top of our other work, so it's like it's something that we had to that we're like consciously prioritizing because no one else in the space is really doing it, or at least not doing it with a team behind it that can make it shine.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
That was really kind.
There you go, being kind and humble again.
Yeah.
Look at me go.
Look at you go.
But yeah, and like I just, it's a space that I think we need to be in, and I think it'll help grow the company both in terms of getting new marketing clients, but also opening up another avenue of like revenue, I think, for ad space. And
absolutely. Also, it's great for like search engine optimization.
SEO, baby.
Sure is.
SEO.
That's my magical power is SEO.
Hey, help us.
Yeah, so
that's how I grew Front
great.
Porch is through SEO.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I have a question. Is it just artists, or are you going to interview other people within the world of that industry?
So we're going back and forth on that. And by going back and forth, I mean arguing about what we actually want it to be.
Undecided.
Yeah. So my goal is to have each episode's primary focus to be on an artist or to be with an artist, but then maybe have some industry people join us, for an intro or outro and just kind of have little tidbits here and there. But that's kind of TBD at this point.
Cool. And are you planning on talking to them about like what their upcoming stuff is going to be, or like the journey of their career, or like what are you going to talk to them about?
Our goal, as with anything, is to just be a conversation. The conversations we've had so far have had no notes going into it, or very few notes going into it, and just sitting down and saying and starting with, hey, how are you? And because we're recording so far in advance right now, it doesn't make sense to talk about what artists have going on because it's coming out in 3 months from now.
Yeah, very true.
So we're talking about them, talking about their journey, and talking about, their thoughts on the industry, their thoughts on life in general. And even, with one artist, we just had it basically turned into an hour long of inside jokes and just being stupid.
That's fun. I think you should do It's All Country Artists, and you talk about crimes that haven't been solved. Just nothing to do with anything.
Perfect niche.
That's a perfect
That takes
niche.
a lot of research.
Nobody has done it. You're welcome.
You're right. Nobody has.
There's a reason. So I was going to ask when is our interview, but we're not country artists or really artists
I
at
mean,
all,
we
so.
can be. Did you hear my Stewie impression earlier?
Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hey.
Golden. You're welcome.
All right, let's get you signed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get you on the porch.
Oh, get you on the porch.
You're joining us.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. But we'll definitely talk to you guys. I want to have some
We'd love it.
segments with some industry people.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm just going to say it here and now. We've taught, and Logan, you can tell me later if you want this cut out. Logan and I have talked for years about doing our own Front Porch Music Festival. And it's not big, it's smaller, and it's about those independent artists and putting in all the cool, funky things that we've always wanted to do in events. And I have thought about it more lately, knowing that this podcast is coming out and the journey Bridget and I have been on, and a lot of other podcasters I've been talking to. And I do really think that listeners, there will be stuff coming out within the next year or two, I think less. We're going to do some shit. I think that there are some forces coming together. There's some other people within the industry that have reached out where I'm like, you need to meet Logan. Bridget and Logan, I've wanted you guys to meet for the longest time because you come from similar backgrounds. Your personalities work well together. And again, I just love workhorses. So I think people need to watch out for this because we are going to do, what do they call, a partnership. That's it.
We're going to collab.
That thing that people do when they work together.
We're going to do a thing. It's happening.
It's Mary's been talking about this for a while, and it sounds so cool. It sounds so neat. Yeah, you guys definitely have the same trajectory as us, even though it's in different niches. And I'm excited to collab.
Yep.
Yeah.
My goal is to make waves in this thing called the Canadian country world. And
Amazing. You are already.
Yeah, you already have.
we're getting there.
It's
We're getting
crazy.
there. We're getting there.
So, Logan, what advice would you have for your 20-year-old self or 20-year-olds today in the world? Like, if you could go back and you could change anything or you could learn from your hindsight, what would it be?
I think largely it would be, I should say that it would be don't put so much of yourself into your work. Don't put your identity into work. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, doing that taught me a lot of lessons that I needed to learn. So that should be what I say, but that's not what I'm going to say. I don't really know what me talking to my 20-year-old self would be, other than maybe enjoy life a little more.
What would your advice to 20-somethings today? It's a very different world than when we were 20. So what would be that advice to kids going into their 20th year?
Don't say no to hard work and put in the time so you can have a seat at the table. You're not no one's going to just give you a seat at the table. You have to work really hard for it and don't expect it.
Yeah. You got to take your fair share of unpaid jobs, of internships, your sweat equity, and you got to just do it.
Yep. Which for the record, I do think that everyone should be paid for internships and for co-ops and stuff, but that's not
absolutely.
the reality, so you still have to do it.
There is something about doing a job for free, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something about learning when you're not being paid and you are in a job and all of a sudden you're not loving what you're doing and finding a passion behind it. It's you right now with your business, right? That doing that at a younger age, I think, is a great lesson to be learned.
Well, Logan, it has been incredible to have you on the show and to hear your story. Seems like you, Mary, and I, obviously, we all have a lot in common. So we're excited to see how Front Porch
Page.
Front Porch Music. Front Porch Pusic. No, how Front Porch Music grows and develops over the coming years and how we can collab. We're super excited about that. I know Mary's been looking forward to this interview for so long. She's been telling me about you, and now I see why, because you're such a fun guy to talk to. And you have such...
Right back at you, Bridget.
Thank you. And you have such great insight into the industry and into, just... the hustle that you got to do to get to where you are. So it's great to hear your story. If people wanted to get in contact with you for any reason, how could they do that?
I am everywhere that you can be. There's frontporchmusic.ca. Instagram, there's, me personally, Logan Jesse M. That's my middle name, JESSEM. And then if you want to follow us on Front Porch, it's Front Porch _music. But if you just search Front Porch Music on any platform, you'll find us coming up, including TikTok.
Yeah, I did notice that your SEO is quite strong.
Why, thank you.
So that's awesome, and I will link all of those in the show notes. Thanks again for joining us today, Logan. This has been another episode of the Talking 20 podcast. Make sure to follow, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite streaming platform to help us grow, and follow along with our shenanigans on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Talking 20 Podcast. And obviously, stay tuned for when the Front Porch Music podcast comes out. We'll keep you guys updated with when that comes out, and also how we will be collaborating and chatting with them. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us at Front Porch Pusic.
Pusic is the grossest word.
Pusic.